explain the difference between relevancy and admissibility. The concepts of relevancy and admissibility are very important under the Bhartiya Sakshya Adhiniyam 2023 because courts decide cases only on the basis of facts and evidence that are legally acceptable. Although these two terms are closely related, they are not the same. Many students consider them identical, but there is clear difference between them. Before understanding the distinction, it is necessary to understand the meaning of both terms separately. Relevancy. The word relevancy means the connection of one fact with another fact. Relevancy exists when one fact is related to another fact in such a manner that it helps in proving or disproving that fact. According to the framers of the Act, relevancy means the connection of events as cause and effect. A fact is said to be relevant when, according to the ordinary course of human conduct and events, it makes the existence or non existence of another fact probable or improbable. Relevancy may be of two kinds. First, logical relevancy. Logical relevancy means a connection based on logic, reason, common sense, or ordinary human experience. For example, suppose A is accused of murdering B and it is proved that A had serious enmity with B. The existence of enmity may logically suggest a motive for the crime and therefore it becomes logically relevant. Second, legal relevancy. Legal relevancy means relevancy recognized by law under the provisions of the Bhartiya Sakshya Adhiniyam. Every fact that is legally relevant is also logically relevant, but every logically relevant fact is not necessarily legally relevant. The law excludes certain facts even though they may appear logically important. Thus, legal relevancy depends not only on logic but also on legal rules and provisions. Admissibility. Admissibility means the acceptance of evidence by a court of law. A fact or evidence is said to be admissible when the law permits it to be produced and considered by the court. Admissibility is determined by legal provisions and not merely by logical connection. Therefore, a fact may be relevant but still may not be admissible if the law prohibits its proof. For example, suppose A gives a promissory note to B and evidence of a debt. The promissory note clearly relates to the debt and therefore is relevant. However, it is not properly stamped according to law. The court may refuse to admit it as evidence. Thus, the fact remains relevant but becomes inadmissible because legal requirements have not been fulfilled. Relationship between relevancy and admissibility. The distinction between relevancy and admissibility is very narrow. It is generally said all admissible evidence is relevant, but all relevant evidence is not necessarily admissible. Relevancy is the genus while admissibility is the species. This means that admissibility forms only a part of the wider concept of relevancy. Relevancy is therefore a condition precedent for admissibility. A fact must first be relevant before it can become admissible. However, after being relevant, it must also satisfy legal requirements. For example 1, communication between a client and his lawyer may be highly relevant in deciding a case, but because it is a privileged communication, it is generally inadmissible. Example 2, a statement based on hearsay evidence may appear relevant because it concerns the dispute, but the law generally excludes hearsay evidence and therefore it becomes inadmissible. Example 3, a document without proper stamp duty may be relevant regarding a transaction, but it may be inadmissible under law. Difference between relevancy and admissibility. First, meaning. So, the meaning of relevancy is that connection between one fact and another fact, and while admissibility says acceptance of evidence by the court. The basis of relevancy is based mainly on logical and probability, while admissibility is based on mainly on law. The nature of relevancy is wider concept, while admissibility's nature is narrower concept. The purpose of relevancy helps in proving or disproving facts, while admissibility determines whether evidence can be used in court. Dependence of relevancy says that dependence on relation between facts, while admissibility says depends on legal provisions. The scope of relevancy is wider sphere while admissibility's scope is limited sphere. The effect of relevancy is that it may or may not be admitted in court, while admissibility can be considered by the court. The relationship of relevancy is the genus, while admissibility is the species. Now, Section 3 of the Bhartiya Sakshya Adhiniyam provides that evidence may be given regarding first every fact in issue and second such other facts as are declared to be relevant and no others. Therefore, only those facts which the law recognizes as relevant may become inadmissible. The conclusion. Thus, relevancy and admissibility are closely connected but not identical concepts. Relevancy depends upon logical connection between facts, whereas admissibility depends upon legal rules and statutory provisions. Relevancy has a wider scope while admissibility is narrower. Every admissible fact is relevant, but every relevant fact may not be admissible in evidence.